What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is your review for First Wives Club Season 2, Episode 2. So, we pick up with the ladies are, at dinner where Hazel announces that she is getting engaged, and of course, Bree is not here for it. Bree is giving her the I can't believe you're doing this. Like, you were on tour. You're not supposed to come back with a boo thing. Hasn't even been to the prom. Y'all know how Brie is, but she's being really honest with her. And Hazel is like, I can't believe you're doing this and being judgmental. I am happy. I'm ready to move on with my life. You know how hard, everything was for me last year. I can't believe that you're like, raining on my parade. And Brie was like, girl, but like, I really need you to think about this because you're being really having this knee jerk reaction. And Hazel ends up leaving. She was like, I don't need this. I don't need your judgment and deuces. I'm out of here. So then we see Bree and her husband are at counseling. They have a new counselor. They have a different counselor. And Bree is like, you know what? We're just here to get a little booster shot. Go on to give us a little quick therapy so we can go on back home. Like, we good. We just need a little tune up. But Gary is like, well, you know what? We have been arguing a lot. And I think we need a little bit more, support, a little help. And so the counselor was like, well, let me know what's going on. And so Bree is like, well, I this and I that and this and that and that and that. And that's when she first lets them know that she's being considered for the head of surgery position at the hospital. And Gary is happy for her, but he's also like, well, why is this the first time hearing about it? Why haven't you told me anything? And she was just like, well, honestly, I wasn't, really considering it, so I wasn't really sure if I wanted to say anything about it. And so he said, I'm very supportive of it, but yeah, thank you for, wanting to talk to me about it. So then the counselor says, okay, we've heard a lot about Bree, but what about Gary? What does Gary want? What does Gary have going on? And so Gary said, well, I've been really busy, with the kids and everything. And Bree says, listen, because I thought Gary was a teacher, but it sounds like he's not working. I don't know. But she was like, well, we could get a nanny so you could do what it is that you want to do. Like, you don't need to, like, basically use it as an excuse to not do it, work on your dreams. And so he said, well, I used to really, write, and maybe I'll go back to writing and maybe write some short stories or some young adult, novels or whatever. And so they talk about getting a nanny, and he's not really sold on the idea of the nanny, but she was like, listen, I'm down for it. Like, I'm here for us getting a nanny if that frees up time for you to be able to do the things you want to do, right? So then we have their new friend, the attorney, and she actually is meeting up with her client Essence Atkins. I was gonna say Watkins Atkins, and her husband, the one that suing her. And of course, he wants like half the company, and he wants like majority custody of the kids or whatever. And she was like, listen, all this is a ploy to get more money. Like, you are not a bit more interested in having those kids full time. And that job, we know that job down at the company was just a vanity position. Like, you can't even, like, he was like the head of vision. She was like, okay, so tell us some vision. Tell me one thing you've done that's visionary since you've been at this company. Like, tell me. And of course he couldn't. And she said, exactly. Like, really, this is just a ploy. You should be happy with the settlement that we're trying to give you. But if you really want to keep moving further, like, that's what we need to do. And of course, she's in her element, and we see her really working it out, like really doing the damn thing, right? So then we see Hazel down at the studio, down at the record label, meeting with potential new artists, because this is a big thing her A&R director /assistant, he keeps telling her, listen, the record company is just not happy. Like, you need to sign some people. Like, you have this deal where you're supposed to be bringing in new artists and all of that, but you haven't signed anybody. You haven't brought anybody in. So she finally meets with, I believe his name is Lewis, and he has this new artist who's like one of those like TikTok fame. She's got like 1 million followers on TikTok and all of that. And Hazel doesn't really want to fool with her because Hazel can tell that she really can't sing. But she says, okay, fine, let's go to the studio. We can, we'll see what's going on in the studio. But when they get to the studio, the girl can't sing. And, Hazel is trying to work something out. She gets the girl, try to get her to sing a cappella. And she has to go through this whole, this whole, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. Zen moment. That's not the word I was looking for. But she has to go through this whole Zen moment, and Hazel is like, girl, get out of my studio. Like, I don't know what you got going on, but baby, bye. Just go. Just go. And of course, Lewis is like, you're gonna regret this in a year when she blows up and this, that, and the other. And Hazel was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm not do what you do. But at the end of the day, we want to sign artists who can actually sing to this label, not vanity artists, not artists just because they have a social media presence. And so her A&R director is like, okay, yeah, but that's all well and good. You can stand on your morals and all of that. But at the end of the day, the record label, they ain't trying to hear none of that. And you need to figure it out. Like, you need to get it together. So then we see Bree down at the hospital, and once again, the doctor approaches her about putting her hat in the ring for the head of surgery. And she was like, you know what, I'm just not sure if that's what I want to do. Like, I really want to just, I worked really hard to get to where I am, and I just don't know. I have great ideas on how to improve this hospital, but I just don't know if that's really where where I need to be focused. And he says, listen, let me show you something. He said, take a walk with me. So he takes her to a part of the hospital that has the pictures of all of the past head of surgery. And he was like, look at this. What do they all have in common? And of course, it's pictures of all of the pictures of old white men. And she makes a couple of jokes, but then ultimately she was like, I know, I see. These, basically they're all the white male patriarchy, And he was like, exactly. He said, can you imagine what you could do as, there aren't a lot of women that are head of surgery, and even less black women. And like, one, I think you have the talent. I think you have the ability to do it. And, I really, really want you to put your name in the ring. Like, would you really consider it? And so she said, well, when do I need to let you know? He was like, I kind of need to know, like, tomorrow. Like, the window is shrinking. And she said, okay, let me think on it, and, I'll let you know tomorrow. So it's date night, and Bree is talking to Ari, who is still in LA, and she mad at her man because she said, something is just off. When he missed that flight, I was so excited to see him, but then he missed that flight, and I'm just feeling some kind of way, and I just don't know how we gonna get our mojo back. And Bree is telling her, girl, listen, y'all in love, y'all have this great relationship, like, y'all can figure it out. You just gotta kind of, be unique about it and put some oomph into it. And so she says, girl, and then they got to talking about Hazel, and she said, how, and Arya is talking to Bree like, how Hazel is, like, you can't push her, like, you really kind of came at her hard, and you can't really push her that hard. She was like, y'all really need to talk, y'all need to make up, y'all need to work this out. And so, Bree was just like, girl, I don't know, because it's a lot. So then, it's date night. So they're going out to karaoke. Gary, Bree, and then Bree invites their new friend, the lawyer, and Gary invites Ari's husband. So the four of them are doing karaoke. And I saw this spot on another TV show that I reviewed, and it was in New York. It took place in New York too. And it's almost like you have your own private booth for karaoke, so you're not in front of like a whole crowd. It's just you and your little party. And I was like, that is cool. So I said, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. So, anyway, they were having a good time, and they were doing Poison, and the ladies were talking, and, of course, they were just talking about what was going on with Ari and with Hazel and all that, and then the guys came through, and they got to talk, and they were talking about, Ari and her husband working it out, and, making it work and figuring it all out or whatever. And so he said, you know what, you're right, I need to, I need to let my woman know how much I love her. So he was like, get her on the phone. He tells Bree, get her on the phone, get her on the phone. And so he does on bended knee. They get her on FaceTime, and he performs on bended knee, and it is funny. Like, they're giving him a pillow, they're giving him the whole umbrella and like mimicking rain to make it look. It is hilarious, right? And so when he gets done, he's like, "Come on, baby, like forgive me." And she was like, "You had me at Boys to Men." It was so cute. So then after that, Bree lets all of them know that she's gonna apply for the position as head of surgery. And Gary is like, "What? Like, I thought we were gonna talk about this. Like, how you just gonna make this kind of decision and we ain't had a conversation?" And she was like, "Well, I'm just applying. It doesn't mean I'm gonna get the job." And she was like, "Yeah, but," he was like, "Yeah, but I thought we was gonna have a whole conversation about this." So they sort of got into a little bit of an argument. But later on that night, pinning that, rewind. So the doctor also asked Bree out to dinner, and he reminded her about the dinner. Now, Bree hasn't said specifically that she married, but she does have a big old wedding ring on her finger, so I'm not even sure where this is going, okay? I'm not even sure. Boop, 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 and boop, right? So, later on in the episode, they're talking, and she tells him, Bree and Gary are talking, and Gary's like upset with her. He's got like a little attitude, and he said, "I thought we were going to talk about this, and why would you bring that up in front of like our friends? Like, you blindsided me." And so she apologized, but she told him that was something she really did want to try and apply for, and she told him to get a nanny so that he could really focus on his dreams and what he wanted to do. And she was like, "Well, I guess so, right?" So they worked that out. So then we see Hazel talking to her boo thing, and she's talking about how she's upset with Bree, and Bree hasn't called to apologize. And he said, "Well, have you called her?" And she was like, "I'm not calling her. She owes me an apology." And he was like, "Listen, I understand where she's coming from. She's your friend. She's looking out for you, looking out for your best interest. At the end of the day, she doesn't know me. And she doesn't know me like you know me, and she has no reason to trust me." He said, "I tell you what, I'll cook. You invite her over so y'all can make up." And she was like, "Well, she still owes me an apology." So she invites Bree over, and Bree shows up, and she immediately demands an apology. And Bree was like, "What? Like, I ain't come over here for that. If that's what you thought you was going to get, then I need to go ahead and turn around now." And he says, "Y'all need to work this out." And they do. They end up working it out. And, she says, Bree said, "Well, maybe I did come on a little strong." And Hazel was like, "Well, I understand why you felt the way you felt, And so they made up, child. So that's where we were for episode 2. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.